Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the next president of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
Former President Donald Trump making his first public appearance since the assassination attempt this past weekend. His supporters creating an electric atmosphere inside the Republican National Convention. Good evening, everyone. I'm Juan Fernandez. Just days after an assassin's bullet almost took his life, former President Trump made his first public appearance tonight in Milwaukee for the Republican National Convention. KCAL News political reporter Tom Wade breaks down the first day of the convention, including Trump's VP pick. Tom?
That's right, Juan. And, we're coming into this, obviously, very unusual circumstances, but Trump is leading in the polls. His supporters are fired up. You can tell he feels good about stuff right now, right? Well, there is nothing normal, though, about this convention. It's taking place just days after the former president was almost assassinated. Trump is also a convicted criminal and still facing a slew of federal charges. But none of that appears to matter, at least at the convention. Trump is leading in the polls, and he is the undisputed leader now of the GOP. Former President Trump making a triumphant appearance at the GOP convention Monday night, a bandage on his ear where a would-be assassin's bullet hit him. Trump wound his way through the crowd, taking his place next to his pick for vice president, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, the crowd giving him a hero's welcome. Earlier Monday, Vance was officially announced as Trump's vice president.
Any comment, Donald Trump Jr., on your dad picking Senator Vance for his vice presidential pick?
I think it's an incredible pick. I think he's an incredible guy with an amazing story, both in business and in life, and I think it's just going to be an incredible person to help unify this country.
And what did you say to your dad in recent days about why? Because he was considering other names, as you know. What did you say to him in recent days about why it should be Senator Vance?
Listen, I think I've seen him on TV. I've seen him prosecute the case against the Democrats. I think no one's more articulate than that. And I think his story, his background, really helps us in a lot of the places that you're going to need from the Electoral College standpoint. And I think it's just going to be a great choice.
Trump posted this on Truth Social. As Vice President, JD will continue to fight for our Constitution, stand with our troops, and will do everything he can to help me make America great again. Congratulations to Senator J.D. Vance, his wife Usha, who also graduated from Yale Law School, and their three beautiful children, MAGA 2024, Professor of Politics Jack Pitney.
Trump chose him not so much for geographical reasons. Trump's going to carry Ohio no matter what. Does provide balance. Vance is exactly half Trump's age. So it does inject an element of youth to the ticket. Vance will be an effective spokesperson for the campaign, for the ticket. In fact, he's going to have to watch himself that he doesn't eclipse Trump, that he doesn't upstage Trump. Trump doesn't like to be upstaged.
Vance's star has been on the rise since 2016, when the 39-year-old published his memoir, Hillbilly Elegy. He was elected to the Senate in 2022 and has become one of the staunchest champions of the former president's Make America Great Again agenda. Vance was also once a fierce Trump critic, calling him a total fraud, a moral disaster, and America's Hitler. But since making those comments, he has done a complete 180 and has scored the coveted VP slot.
Well, he's very ambitious, and he decided a few years ago that becoming a Trumpist would be the path to power, and so far it's worked out for him.
The GOP convention Monday night, the session focused on the economy, with speakers from lawmakers to everyday Americans, including this single mother.
I know Americans can relate when I say that every time I fill up my gas tank, go to the grocery store, and try to pay the bills, I think, who doesn't miss the Trump days?
The night also featured controversial figures like conservative host Charlie Kirk and Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene.
We have once again nominated for president the founding father of the America First movement, Donald John Trump.
President Biden weighed in on Trump's VP pick, blasting the choice as being more of Trump.
He's a clone of Trump on the issues. A clone of Trump on the issue. So I don't see any difference.
Delegates say this week that they want to hear a message of unity, but Senator Vance has already stirred some controversy, posting on X that President Biden's rhetoric led directly to the assassination attempt on Donald Trump over the weekend. Juan?
Now continuing our coverage of RNC Night 1, Joining us now is longtime LA City and County leader Zev Yaroslavsky, who is now with UCLA's Luskin School of Public Affairs. Thank you for watching that pursuit with us and being with us tonight.
On my orange line.
Right, on your orange line. You watched night one of the RNC with us. Donald Trump made his first appearance. We saw his right ear bandaged, the crowd yelling, "Fight, fight, fight." Let's watch that moment again and then discuss it.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the next president of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
As you see there, was a dramatic moment, Zev. Let's talk about that.
Well, I don't think there's any question that the attempted assassination of Donald Trump on Saturday has had an impact on the ensuing days, and I think it will have an impact for a while. The iconic photo of him, which I think we're going to see a lot of during this convention and beyond, it's the personification of Trump as Trump sees himself. Whether that sustains over the course of the next 4 months, 100 days till the election, is another story. But this is a week where the Republicans are going to do well. Their numbers are going to go up. They'll get a bounce out of the convention. And then it'll be the Democrats' turn, but the Democrats have their own issues that they've got to deal with right now.
Yeah, and definitely we saw, a lot of people there. Trump looked a little softer, right? He looked a little bit more emotional as well. All right, Zev, let's talk about Trump's pick for VP, J.D. Vance. We have video of Vance in Trump's box from earlier tonight. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. Very interesting. What a difference a few years makes. In 2016, Vance went on record saying he was never a Trumpster, didn't trust him at all. And tonight, as we see there, went side by side with him as Trump's VP pick, the two making their first appearance as the GOP ticket. What's your take here?
Well, he's gone whole hog for the MAGA agenda. And look, I agree with Jack Pitney. One of the reasons they picked him is he's young, and it's a good contrast to both him and the current president, to Trump and the current president. But what's more significant is he's extremely America first. The foreign policy that's going to come out of this administration, if Trump should win, is going to be disengagement. Ukraine, I think Vance himself said that he doesn't give a damn about Ukraine. This is a very serious shift in our foreign policy. Disengagement from Europe, disengagement from the Pacific Rim. Very concerning to people in the foreign policy world. But he's articulate, he's smart, he's cunning, he didn't get here for nothing. And it's going to be, I don't think it hurts Trump's ticket. I think it helps his ticket.
And that disengagement, as you're mentioning, is very dangerous because we have the Israel-Hamas situation, we have Ukraine, there's the concern about China and Taiwan.
China and Taiwan. I mean, basically, it's a repeat of history from the late 30s, where we had a whole America First crowd. Eventually, eventually you're going to get sucked into something if you don't nip it in the bud. And I think that's a lesson we learned before World War II and during World War II. And I think it's a lesson that I think Mr. Vance and that crowd needs to understand. It's a tough decision to help Ukraine, but the longer you postpone a difficult decision, the more difficult that decision gets when you ultimately have to make it.
And eventually you are going to have to make a decision, right?
Eventually.
All right. Now, a very unusual sight at the Republican convention tonight. We saw the head of the Teamsters Union, a union, Zev. Let's take a moment now to listen at the comment that he made.
I think we all can agree, whether people like him or they don't like him, in light of what happened to him on Saturday, he has proven to be one tough SOB.
Well, you heard it there, Zev. He made the crowd roar. How crucial is it for the Republican Party and for Donald Trump to have the head of the Teamsters there? We know that according to Reuters, they just recently reported the Teamsters not considering an endorsement this time around.
Well, I think it's significant. I mean, Trump's trying to create the impression or trying to create the reality of building a bridge to constituencies which have not traditionally been with the Republicans. Organized labor is one of them. Teamsters are an outlier in this among organized labor. Most of organized labor has endorsed the Democratic ticket, the Biden ticket. But I'll quote my daughter, who texted me from up north after the RNC convention today. She said, "What's that guy doing in that hall?" Yeah, and I'm sure that the people who were in the hall were wondering, what's he doing here? Because to hear a guy talk about corporate greed and big corporate bosses and all that stuff in a Republican convention is probably the first time that's ever happened.
Right.
And but he's trying to build tentacles to constituencies, a little bit here, a little bit there, and piece together what he needs for an electoral college victory, and not an irrational invitation. Whether it was a rational acceptance of the invitation is another story.
And Zev, this was night one. What do you expect for night 2 and 3?
Well, I think you're going to see more of the same. I mean, the convention is an opportunity, 4 days where you can put your best foot forward. I think they had, it's a mixed bag. They had some very controversial figures on there. Charlie Kirk, who's a notorious, bigot. And Marjorie Taylor Greene, who was more or less under control tonight. And then you had a lot of others. I mean, they're trying to put together a mosaic where they can get a majority of the 270 electoral votes that they can get. Right now, because of what's been going on the Democratic side, he's ahead. Trump is ahead. But 48 hours ago, we couldn't have anticipated what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania, and we are 4 months away from the election. So there are going to be infinite number of big news stories that could turn this election upside down. We don't know what President Biden's going to do, whether he's going to be convinced to step down or not. There's still a lot of pressure on him. So there's a lot to be played out, and I wouldn't go to the casino tables yet and put a bet down.
Well, we'll see what happens, and we'll be here for it. All right, Zev, thanks for being with us tonight. Appreciate your time.